Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Chris, back with another video. Um, I also I watched this movie. Actually, I'm recording this right after the Spider-Man review, 30 minutes after the Spider-Man review. But yeah, I also watched this movie the first day it came out. Um, okay, movie, not that good. Um, I'm actually a very avid enjoyer of horror movies, and this movie is. I also like gory movies. I'll tell you a few things first to give some context to my review here. I like gory movies. I like horror movies. I like things that can scare me. This movie kind of is average on all of those accounts. The gore is more or less. You kind of get desensitized to gore at this point because of how prevalent it is in media now. I mean, back when The Boys first came out, gore was something that you were like, oh my god, what are they showing us? But now it's like, it's become so prevalent in shows that you don't feel anything anymore, you know? And like, there were a few shocking gore scenes here, but even then, they weren't really that creative, I would say. I think the one thing that can make gore feel interesting is if it's creative and if it makes you feel what's happening to the character. One good example of this I could give you is from what's that fucking movie called? Final Destination. The last Final Destination movie. That scene where this really more or less alt guy goes into the MRI room, not MRI room, the X-ray room, I guess. Yeah, he goes to the MRI X-ray room, and then the freaking electromagnet starts doing its magic, and then he gets pulled in there. That's a very interesting gore scene, I would say. Meanwhile, this movie has a few of them, but it just doesn't make them that great, I guess. I mean, you know what I will say? The starting scenes of this movie, they are quite decent. Like the way it begins is quite decent, and it falls off around the middle, I would say. It starts decent and it becomes kind of mediocre around the middle, and then it ends decent, more or less, which makes it a little less than decent, I would say. you know it's only been like 3 minutes into the review, but I'll already give you a score here, because if I really want to describe to you what happens, then I'll have to get into spoilers, so I'll just give you a score here. I'll give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's just below average, I would say. It's just below average. In fact, now that I'll get into the spoilers, I didn't really enjoy the story. I mean, the story is realistic in my opinion. It's from a very realistic point of view, but that's not something I really want to see when I go to the movies. I just want some unrealism. I want a little bit of pizzazz, I would say. The movie had really realistic relationship dynamics, which I really liked. Showed how toxic relationships, affect a person more or less. And those were some good parallels. There were some good parallels that they had drawn from that. But there wasn't like enough fun. Every movie has, good movies tend to have a message that's at the center of it. That's how the whole idea of a movie was born, in my opinion, where you have a message that you're trying to convey through this art form, which is of movie making. This movie has like a deep message, but they make it so obvious to you what the message is that it just kind of no longer stays fun. So they kind of fail in that aspect. And the also there's a couple like scenes which don't really make sense. For example, the zombie dad staying outside the house when he could have just like easily broken in. Like the variation of strength doesn't make sense in my opinion. Like they have a wooden door that apparently this zombie guy can't open. That guy had a gun. He had a gun, and he's strong enough to the point where he can throw a human being from like the ground to like the second floor. So some scenes don't make sense even in that regard, which also kind of annoys you a little bit. And in the middle, especially in the middle of the movie, when there's this whole like thing where it's like kind of surviving almost, you know, the person them surviving these people, like these guys. And one more thing is they could have had some other themes in the movie rather than just we are evil, we want your artifact, we will become immortal. They could have like gone more into the lore of what will happen, what happened, why it happened. They didn't choose to do any of that. They kind of made the movie very bland and just a generic horror movie, in my opinion. Kind of ruined it for me by doing that. I really liked when they were like, you know, going through the grandfather stuff and, you know, just trying to find, you know, links to the thing. I think it would have been much better if they had like more of that, you know, understanding what the demon is or whatever, you know, the way the old movies used to do it. But I guess this is fine. It's okay. That's about it, to be honest. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which I'll record right after this one to compensate for not being here for like what, 2 months. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one.